Hey guys, I hope you're all doing alright. So basically in today's video I'm going to be doing my review of Iron Man 2 and I'll be using the same criteria as always. So I'll be covering the hero, the villain, the visuals and the soundtrack of the movie and scoring each one out of 5, and then at the end I will get a final score out of a total of 20. So let's kick it off straight away with the hero of the film. So it's Tony Stark or Iron Man, whatever you want to call him. So he's the hero of this film. And I must admit, I think it's kind of a step down from the first Iron Man film because in that film we see him begin as one person and then become a new person. Whereas when we pick up in this film, he's kind of already that new version of Tony Stark that we see at the very end of Iron Man 1. So it's kind of hard to move up from there. So, in my opinion, this film kind of regresses his character a little bit, and mainly because he's dying, and it is kind of understandable. He's making brash decisions. He's just drinking and probably sleeping around, and throwing parties and stuff like that, and driving on the race course, and just doing things that are a bit irrational. And you can put that down to him dying and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense, but me personally, I kind of just felt like, oh, Tony's been a bit of a dick in this film. And I know they kind of hinted at the demon in a bottle storyline, but I think they shouldn't have hinted at that unless they were going to go full circle with it and proper explore it. So I was a bit annoyed at that. Like, not really annoyed, but I just thought maybe just leave it out. If you're not going to delve into it, just leave it. Um, I do like though how Tony doesn't want help from anybody else. He's very like isolated. He doesn't tell anybody he's like dying and things like that, and he just doesn't want help. And like obviously War Machine Rhodey says to him like you can't do this on your own. You do need help. And I quite like that because I think the reason Tony is like that and what we see in this film is his dad was very much like that. So it's kind of funny and strange to see that Tony Stark hates his dad, but he is now becoming like his dad because his dad wanted to work alone. He never wanted anybody involved. He was, like an inventor, just him himself. He just wanted it to be that way, him and his work. And Tony's kind of becoming that character. But I think the reason he doesn't like people getting close to him is because he's got issues. Because usually people have relationships like that with their parents, with their father, and he has never had that, so he doesn't really know how to open up to it. So I think that's a really good aspect to the film. But other than that, I don't really like not the villain, the hero, like Tony Stark in this. I just thought he's been a bit of a dick, and I'm not a massive fan. He is kind of funny in some ways. He's a bit like got a bit of banter, a bit what's it called, like charming, but I don't really like that. It's probably just personal opinion, and for that reason, I'm going to give him a 2 out of 5 in this film. So next we move into the villain, and it's kind of hard because there's kind of like 2 villains in this. We've got Justin Hammer and Ivan Vanko, but I would say the main villain and the person who was teased as the villain for the film is Ivan Vanko. So I'm going to class him as the villain. I actually wish Justin Hammer was the villain because he's like, oh god, he's got the banter him. I really like him, and he has a bit of a bop every now and then. I just really like that character. But anyway, he's not the villain, unfortunately. So we've got Ivan Vanko, and unlike a lot of people, I actually really like the design of his whips in the racecourse scene. So it's a bit shit that we only get to see it once because that's like his big fight scene sort of thing. I mean, I know he's got the N1, but he's just in an armor again, which is another issue with some of the Marvel movies. It's like just like the hero fighting an evil version of themselves, and it's very much that at the end of this film. But I really like how he designs the whips and everything like that, and I really like the design of them and how like it's not a full armor, it is just like something that comes over his chest, and then he's got the whips because I think that really establishes that he's a really intelligent guy and he's done so well with the little resources he had. So I really like that about him because it's like grounded and it matches his character and his poverty and everything like that in comparison to Johnny. So I enjoyed that aspect. But for the negative side, he's got hardly any dialogue. He literally has that one scene where he gets Tony's car, slashes it in half, and then he's in jail. Justin Hammer's taken over, like gets him out of jail, and like he's building suits for Justin Hammer. So he's basically got no character depth. It's basically just he isn't like Iron Man, so he tries to kill him and tries attacking him and everything, fails at that. then gets the opportunity to build a suit, and then goes and tries and kills Tony again, and then gets killed in the process. So he's just got nothing to him, basically. So for that reason, I'm going to give him a 2 out of 5. So moving into the visuals of the film, I actually like quite a lot of the visual aspects to this movie. So like most of the Marvel movies, I think they use colour palettes really well. So for example, the very beginning of the movie, it is literally such low key light and you can't see hardly anything. It's so dark and there's loads of mise en scène or like sorry props and everything, and it's all scattered all over the place. There's a lack of it and then it's scattered everywhere, so it shows the poverty and lack of material that Ivan Vanko and his father have. And so I really like that. And again, it's very dark where he's building, and only the energy from his whips are lighting the scene up. So that's quite nice because it shows he's like obviously quite a dark character, and they're in this shit place. It's like he hasn't been brought up in a good place, so you kind of feel a bit like, oh, of course he's going to turn out that way. It just looks like a really dreary and horrible place to be. And then right after that scene, we get the Stark Expo, or like, no, the teaser for the Stark Expo, and it's Tony entering in his Iron Man suit. He's on stage, and it's quite dark there as well, but then it's surrounded by loads of glowing lights, and these scenes perfectly match going next to one another because they really like juxtapose one another. So we see like Ivan Vanko in this shit, and then like it is dark, but then like there's no light other than his energy thing, and that's a tiny bit and everything like that. But then when we go to the Stark Expo, he's like, it's lit up everywhere and all the praise he's getting, and it shows like he kind of brings light to his work. Like his work is kind of, um, it's dark because it's like weapons and it can be very dangerous, but it's like he makes it positive kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of the feeling I got when I watched it. It's probably reading a bit too much into it, but that's kind of the feeling I got anyway. Um, and then I think as well, it's really good how Hammer is always on like the right hand side of the frame in comparison to Tony Stark. Tony Stark's always on the left side because that is the dominant side of the frame. So it shows that, Hammer's just not as great of a weapons manufacturer as Tony Stark. He's a bit more wormy. He doesn't have as good intentions. He's basically like the weaker version of Tony Stark, basically, and he's not very trustworthy and everything like that. So I enjoyed that. Also, when they're at the like meeting with the senator or whoever they're at the meeting with, when they're trying to take the Iron Man suit off Tony Stark, I really enjoyed that as well because there's some like high angles looking down on Justin Hammer. So when they're both seated, Tony just looks, he's eye level and looking straight at the camera, whereas Justin Hammer, there's a high angle looking down on him. So again, it shows that when they're both sat down, he is like obviously inferior to Iron Man, which is the point. So I enjoyed that as well. And when we see Tony like cracking up as well, like he's thrown the party, and I think it took place at night for a reason, mainly because most parties take place then. But again, it's quite dark and not very well lit and everything, like as what you would expect one of his big parties to be. So again, I think that kind of shows, he's spiraling out a bit and he's cracking a bit, and he's taken a darkish kind of turn at this point in the film. The other good thing I would say is like the most high key lighting we probably see in the best lit shot that I picked up on quite noticeably and was like, wow, it's quite bright here. It is probably because it's out in the daylight and it is very sunny, probably where they were filming. But it's when Rhodey actually comes and lands in that like camp, and he's got the War Machine armor. The first time he's basically in the War Machine armor after he's just fought Tony and then gone to take it to the military. That is really well lit, and I think that's good because it's just reinforcing the fact that Rhodey is a really good guy, and having this weapon, well, it's like weapon suit in his hands is actually a positive. Like it's not bad at all. So they're the really good things that I picked out. But other than that, I would say it's just kind of generic. There's nothing else, like no full scene where I was like, oh my god, that whole scene is just you know so visually pleasing and everything like that. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for the visuals. So finally, we move on to the soundtrack, and there's two aspects to this I really like. So I really like the fact that they bring in the Shoot to Thrill as Iron Man's theme when he enters at the like teaser for the Stark Expo. I really enjoyed hearing that music again, and like it's just a great setup for his character. It really matches his character. Also, at the very beginning of the film, we hear like a sinister kind of tone to the music, and you can hear like whispers going on, and this is when Vanko is building his tech. So I don't know if it's like meant to be his inner thoughts and he's crazy, or he's hearing like whispers and voices, and that's kind of what's turning him a bit insane. But overall, it kind of gives you the feeling that he is a bit insane, and I really enjoyed that. Or I thought it could kind of relate to later on when he's in prison. He mentions making God bleed and everything like that when he's talking to Iron Man. So I was thinking maybe he's religious as well, and it's him like praying or hearing like whispers from like the gods or things like that. So I just thought that was a fun little not Easter egg, but like fun little thing that they introduced with his character at the very beginning of the film, and straight away it kind of implies like this guy's a little bit crazy, bit insane. So straight away you get that feeling just from that bit of music. So I really enjoyed that. But other than them two aspects, the film has really generic music and soundtrack. It's basically just like you can kind of anticipate what's going to happen. It matches the action, it matches everything that's going on and happening in the film, but it's pretty generic overall. So I wasn't a massive fan of it. So for that reason, I'm just going to give it a 2 out of 5. So that's going to do it for my quick thoughts and review on Iron Man 2. So overall, it got a 9 out of 20. And I must admit, if I was basing this film just off my general watching experience, I reckon it would maybe be at like a 13 or 12 out of 20. But because I'm literally just looking at the hero, the villain, the soundtrack and the visuals, sorry, I lost track of it there. It has to only be a 9 out of 20. But if I was looking at it otherwise, I would probably rank it a bit higher because, you know, I like the side characters like Black Widow, and some of the scenes I really, really enjoy in this film. And I think it's quite a rewatchable film. Um, but yeah, that's going to do it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know your thoughts of this film down below in the comments. As always, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel. My Instagram link is also in the description below, so if you want to follow me on there, because I do daily watch list and daily movie reviews of Marvel films, that would be absolutely great. So yeah, thanks again for joining me, and I hope to catch you all in the next one.